This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.
Welcome down to Shark Park, the home of the Sharks. East Fremantle and Swans, your match for broadcast here in the WAFL women's season. Beautiful day for football down here at the Port. There you can see the score from the reserves game earlier today, with Swan Districts running out winners over East Fremantle. But it's a massive league game for these two clubs. East Fremantle back on the winners list last week with a big win over Subiaco after 2 losses to start their season. Meanwhile, Swan Districts are undefeated, 3 from 3. What a great start to the year it has been for the Black and Whites. These two teams met in the grand final of the first season of WAFLW. Neither were quite able to replicate that sort of form in the second season, but as we said, Swans really getting away to a hot start this season, and East Fremantle, after a struggle in the first 2 weeks, finding something close to their best form last week, as both teams starting to fire up, and we're moving into their 4th fixture of the season. Both teams in Indigenous jumpers this afternoon, so we'll look forward to a ceremony before the start of this one. But it's the Sharks and the Swans, your match for broadcast here, and we look forward to a massive contest between these two clubs in just a moment.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Welcome back to East Fremantle Oval. The Sharks coming across for a pre-match exchange of gifts in the Indigenous match between East Fremantle and Swan Districts here at New Choice Homes Park, East Fremantle Oval. The home side there in their Indigenous strip with the blue shorts as we pan across the umpires, and then Swan Districts in their Indigenous outfit as well. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degerbrook, your commentary team for this afternoon. And Deggers, the Indigenous uniforms around the WAFL are always fantastic, and these are probably 2 of the best.
I really like them both, actually. That Sharks one's surprisingly excellent. It's hard to sort of, I guess, think of the Indigenous colours as blue and white, but they've done a great job. Black and white just seems so much more natural, but both jumpers are fantastic. Very excited today to see Danielle Wright and Chloe Taylor for Swans on debut, just ahead of this ceremony. Of course, East Fremantle had their smoking ceremony on Monday. And the State Academy had their cultural awareness session on Monday too.
We'll see what we can pick up from this exchange of gifts.
do an acknowledgement of country today. It's really special to me because I love where I've grown up, and as I've grown, I've become more and more aware how old and special this land actually is. This land was up from my land, and it has been for 1,000 years. And I'm really proud and grateful for the work of our people's ancestors and elders that they've looked after this land for that long, where they've been, and they've looked after that for the longest time of any culture in the world. That's something that's really special to me and really special to us. And I'm really glad to acknowledge the elders, past and present. I'm also really honoured to acknowledge our leaders that are emerging. We've got a couple of weeks today, but we've also got one really special to me, especially our colleagues, Swan and Dyson, who sees the open around the two. I've got some boots painted by Swan. She's come up through our duties and emerges a really strong female leader in our club, and she has some really tough conversations with us about the way that we're going about supporting our emerging leaders in our communities and players. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm really thankful for her, and I appreciate her to be a character around the sport. She's been incredible. The other two I want to acknowledge, I'm not about, but we're very happy that they're down and playing footy for us. We get Kaka and just what you've done and give Carl a little bit of context of what it is. Thanks, Eric.
Hello everyone. My name is Dr. Delphine Speaker. I'm from the Kimberley, from Daisy Bay, so I'm part of the Indigenous and Indigenous. So I'd like to pay my respect to the Indigenous people here. And alongside me is Jessie. And we have team 66 that we'd like to pass on to the women's football club. They're representing us, Indigenous players, also the players and the youth, so we'd like to give you the message to pass on like that. What are they doing today?
We'd just like to give this ball to the Shark Football Club just to represent the duties of the league and obviously their colours. So thank you. We're going to do the coin toss and then we're going to get into the games and smash it.
So very nice exchange of gifts there between the two clubs, and Degs football does this very well these days, and it's getting better each year, I reckon.
It's a game I watched a couple of years ago in the female space where one of the nanas came out and actually gave a wonderful speech, and it was about making her mark. It was Indigenous round, making her mark, a celebration game. I think it was one of the games that the WAFLW or WAFL board actually put on, which is biannually or every 2 years, and it was terrific to hear her speak about how inclusive the game was, how wonderful it was that it accepted all different kinds of people, how it was Aussie rules being an Indigenous game to Australia, and obviously Indigenous players and Aboriginal players play it very well. So fantastic across all the footy, but it's nice that we're finally getting a little broadcast of how well the females have been doing this for a couple of years.
And the girls themselves, they're obviously extremely proud of their heritage and they love to share. We've seen it at the State 19s, State 18s jumper presentations over the last couple of years. I remember Naira Anderson, who's out there for Swans, doing a welcome or an acknowledgement of country, a bit of a dance as well with a couple of her teammates a couple of years ago. And again, a couple of the Indigenous girls made the acknowledgement of country this year at the presentation also. Yeah,
Sonia Drizzy was involved in the sort of start of that a number of years ago now, and Naira Anderson very proudly took that over, and it's something that now exists, and the players drove that. So great call, Reggie. It was Sonia Drizzy, and then Naira Anderson is now a feature of the AFLW 19s this year, AFLW 18s traditionally, to acknowledge the Aboriginal culture within the teams. So it's wonderful to see Swannies and East Fremantle do just that.
And Maguire just having a chat with her girls, and now looking across at the East Fremantle huddle their captain Ashley Gomes in tight. As we saw their first 2 games, Degs, and there wasn't much to talk about from the Sharks. They were fairly dismal in round 1 and round 2, and then last week took on a Subiaco side that has also been struggling in the early rounds and tore them to pieces. So it'll be fascinating to see what has changed at East Fremantle, and now they run into a Swan side that has been the best team in the competition in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I've actually seen all 3 of the games so far this year from the Sharkies, and yeah, they were super last week against Subiaco. Just played a bit more in the corridor, but I think Evangeline Gooch and Anne McMahon really changed things. But the 3 players for East Fremantle I want to talk about are Madeline Ross, Cara Sprillian and Samara Plushke. Sprillian and Plushke in particular, nice and fit this year and having a huge impact, and Ross controlling her wing outside has been terrific. The 3 older, I guess they're more experienced players, whereas I was talking before about Danielle Wright, Chloe Taylor on debut. Swans just continue to do it. Special mention to Naomi Baker. Hasn't played for a couple of years now as she's rehabbed the knees. Exciting times for her. And Shannon Rennie finds her way back into the Swan side. She's been in and out of the league team for about 5 years. Super player, nice and quick. Clever by foot, so we should see all those players in action today.
Chloe Taylor and Naomi Baker starting on the bench, with Brianna Hyde in the pink strip as well. She's one of the 2 runners for Swans, hopefully not too far away from getting back out onto a WAFLW field, having suffered a bit of a knee problem early in the pre-season this year. Her sister obviously tracking nicely, getting a few opportunities at AFLW level, but it'll be East to get the first kick of the game for Swans. They're attacking the right of your screen into a slight breeze in this first quarter, and already tumbling it forward. Dangerous position, opportunity for Morrison. She was hot last week and she started with a behind. She's fairly deadly, it's the appropriate word, deadly in all aspects of her football, and that was a bright start from Swans.
Fremantle looking for Michaela Morrison to be involved in both scoring and score assists. So game with her getting 10 touches and 6 score involvements would be the go as the kick comes back into play. Skittles and McMahon picked up by Webb. Going the other way is Wellstra. She takes a flying shot offline, marked on the line. No, tipped over the line by foot for Swans in the goal square. It looks like it's the young player there.
Taylor Edwards, I think.
Taylor Edwards, I've got the jumper name on. That's Taylor Edwards, who's done some good work down there forward. Long ball in from Wellstra off the intercept, little handball from Webb into the goal square. Can't complete the defensive work, East Fremantle, and the ball was tipped over the line by Edwards.
Just looking at the replay, it would have only just been below the knee, top of the shin, I reckon, with the goal umpire right on the line, best position. He judged that it was a goal, so Edwards with the first goal of the game, and Swans, who have been fantastic in the early stages of this season, been able to get a good start to this game as well. And East Fremantle have got their challenges already. A whistle in at this bounce. It'll go the way of Swans. Bianca Webb was running away from the contest, but coming back to take the free kick now. Right in the engine room for Swan Districts. Also has had limited opportunities at Fremantle this year, but would very much like to work her way back into that team. She's turned this kick over, and East Fremantle should be able to clear well on the way out. McMahon giving a good strong lead. Can't take that mark. Wearing the jumper 16 now after wearing 12 earlier in the season. Hand pass off to Gomes. Awkward with the left boot, but it hits Versace. Couldn't take the mark. East comes through strongly for Swans. Now Gomes throws it down the line. The umpire missed that one. Our camera was in the best position for that one, but can't go to the replay just yet in WAFLW. Got away with that one, did young Gomes.
I think I'll stop watching footy if they replay throws. Probably what she was after too, Ashley. Right in front of the commentary box, and the cameras, of course, throw's going to just about hit Wong on the head. If it had hit Wong on the head, it might have been a free kick. Let's hope Ugal Hayward, seeing that ball over the line, will get another throw in. Just a bit deeper, young man. You're supposed to come 10 metres in off the line. Here he goes now. He's going in 3.75 metres in off the line, not 10. And throw this over the rucks this time. No, McLennan, good block. Wellstra over the back. That's some good work. Trying to get into the pathway of Webb. Wrapped up by her Fremantle teammate and McMahon. And this throw he did see with X-ray vision. The umpire, right call. McMahon, plenty of traffic ahead. Off the instep. Instep actually favours Versace. Match there by Maguire. She pulls it around the corner to the ruckman in McLennan. Neatly controlled. Wellstra was just sweating on her playing on then, Reg. She does now. Long ball in. Swans look to have the box seat. Mel Hardy first back there. Was that Naira Anderson, the ball? She connects with Danielle Wright. right down the line. First kick in league football. Looks like she's searching for East, who's able to complete the mark. Just behind that shade sail there. The kick inboard's an aggressive one. It's in the hands of Williams on the intercept. She puts it towards Versace again, who's been handy so far. Can't see who that is there. That is Mel Hardy. Mel Hardy, second possession in 30 seconds. Trying to release Gelmy. Gelmy, the back feed is good to Stribley up from a half-forward flank. She's looking to go into the corridor. She does so to Gomes nearly. Edgley misses it. She's been met by Williams today. What a compliment to her. And Evie Gooch is wrapped up in a tackle from Michaela Morrison. The Fremantle teammates compete again.
There's a few of them out there this afternoon. Morrison almost with a goal with her first kick. This one just fading away from East. And we'll get the lasso from the boundary umpire. These two's had a couple of early possessions. Wong just forgetting that that's a free kick at this level these days. So has to go and retrieve the football. Gets it back. And steps inside the line, so is immediately called to play on. Kick down the line, searching for Gooch. Didn't quite take the mark. Spinning out of that tackle was Sanders. Good long kick, but Maguire reading it well behind the football, as she often does. Tracks this one to the line. And Canane, who might have the job. No, where's she heading off to? Saw her do a pretty good job.
He's forward today.
Yeah, as a back in the first game of the season after half-time.
Interesting. Mel Hardy playing on her in the back pocket.
But the throw-in, McClellan and Wilstra, they dance around that footy. East reading it well, crashing through, beat a couple, but then coughed it up with the hand pass. Brilliant's kick high up and under. Tailor-made for Maguire, who judges the ball so well in the air. And she is almost the quarterback there for Swans. Delivers into the centre corridor. And coming up to take the mark is Rennie.
Rennie's ball, a little dirty inside. Can't benefit Gelmy as well as she tried to. Ross spins inside a tackle. The ball's going forward now from East Fremantle onto the chest of Versace. Nice build. Versace doesn't have the distance in her leg, but she's an accurate kick. She's able to connect again with Madeline Ross, who has run on. The lady affectionately known as Gaz. You can see the definition in the calves. Been accused of running on her tiptoes by her friends. Big shout out to Ellie Lampkin. I think she was involved in that nickname. Ross, not the deepest of kicks. She'll look to get this to the square, I'd suggest. She flushes it nicely, but in the quest for the distance, I think she's gone to the close side, kicked it through for one behind. Maddie Ross, couple of involvements there, Reg.
Got the glove on today as well.
Yes, it's either a tribute to Michael Jackson, tribute to how cold it usually is at East Fremantle, as you called pre-game.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever felt warm at East Fremantle Oval, I must say, but it's probably also the first time I've been here in March.
Always warmly welcomed the Sharks at Shark Park.
It's normally the place that when you look through the fixtures and you see that you've got a broadcast game in the middle of July down here, it's a tough place to be. Got a few layers on. As Chloe Taylor's just come on the field for her first run at WAFL League level. Osborne making the spoil there against Canane. Close to the boundary. The Sharks want to keep this in, but it's unable to do anything with it. Osborne gets the clearing kick away. Coming the opposite direction, Plushke for East Fremantle. Trying to set something up, but reading it well, Webb. Just sliding in from the side to take that mark and then attacking down the wing very quickly. A lot of blue and white, but they all flew. Ball gets out the back. Tackle applied and it was high. So the free kick will go the way of East. And East will get the free kick here for Swannies. Kicking inside, and Edgley, who's been one of the form players for Swans in the first few rounds this year.
She's been marked by Alex Williams, which is a compliment.
Certainly building her confidence level at this stage of her career. Williams is behind the ball now, clears back out towards the wing, and it's going to come straight back again because the youngster Taylor will get her first kick as Naomi Baker's about to make her way on the field as well, Dex.
Might be a little cheer here for Bakes. She's a popular character down. The timekeeper next to us is also the president of the women's program, Joe Taylor. Tapped on the window and indicated that she's going on, so Naomi Baker does go on. Meanwhile, Chloe Taylor's first kick is intercepted, and the Sharks try to manufacture something through the middle of the ground. It's a good, clever handball from Ross. Looking towards Sprillian. Little fumble of her give. It's caused a bit of work for McMahon. To Wong, the relieving kick to set up play now as the skipper in Gomes. Gomes off a step, can't quite get it to Versace. Versace tucks under one hand. Pressure from Mel Hardy. A 25 years difference in age there. Some super experience for Versace. Meanwhile, McLennan gets it to McMahon. Talking of experience, Lauren Skinny Osborne is able to reset the Swans. Looks to be on here. Bianca Webb's gone quickly. Tara Stribley, the kick doesn't favour her. It's gone towards Amber Canane. This kick is actually intercepted by Naomi Baker. And it's the first kick in a couple of years of footy for Naomi Baker, and it's an okay one into the corridor. Skittles East. East just runs over the top. The umpire says that's fair. McMahon picks up. tucks it under the arm and has a bounce. She's looking long. Looks like East came off second best down behind play. Lauren Osborne again, searching handball for Rennie. Rennie gives it back to Osborne. A little messy. It's okay. It's in the hands now of the running fullback from the Swan Districts Footy Club, Amy Ralph.
Kick is long, but not really to a target. Alston behind the football this time for East Fremantle, giving it off towards O'Donnell. Next hand pass has been dropped, which just slows down the forward attack there from the Sharks, but they're good enough now to set something up. Off a step, it's a good kick for distance. Unable to take the mark deep there, the Sharks, but a chance to set something up still. The numbers are good for East Freo. Gooch will apply the tackle, but coming through well was Hardy. Off to Osborne, hurried kick, will be intercepted. And East Fremantle have it through Ravel. Torrens Ravel sets this one up with a high ball. Bit of a nudge in the back, but the umpire said play on there for Radokic, who couldn't finish the mark off. Gooch has it, driven into the ground, good tackle. The umpire says no. Dangerous tackle. Free kick goes against Swan Districts. If there's one player that can handle a fierce tackle, it'd be Evie Gooch. I'm not sure that was all that dangerous, Dex. It was a pretty decent tackle. We might see a replay of it perhaps after the shot and goal here from Gooch, who's playing a few games here for East Fremantle. She builds her fitness. She's pushed it right, and she has missed, which is a little disappointing for Gooch. East Fremantle still looking for their first goal.
Yeah, I think the tacklee there, Gucci, actually contributed to the hard fall. She didn't try to drive her legs and resist as Maguire connects with Gelmy. Underneath this really inconveniently placed shade, bonus shade that the Swans had pitched in front back towards Gelmy on the rebound. East Fremantle, she's able to do it again. This time it is chopped off and marked inside the field of play, and it'll give Rayson a chance to thrust Sharks forward again. Push this time much more obvious from Radokovic. She's got away with it again. The mark is taken behind the play by Lauren Osborne, and she's connected across the ground with Amber Ugle. Amber Ugle pushes towards Alston with one hand. She's holding on with the other hand. No, it's actually gone the other way. So it's in Alston's hands. A little bit of a confusion between the two umpires then, but all is well on the far side of the ground. It's with Torrens again. Skittles it towards the forward 50. Bit of messy play. The flying shot from Chloe Riley is the right idea, but she gets it far too shallow, and that's out of bounds on the far side. Torrens Ravel. That's a footballer's name.
It certainly is. 6.5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Breeze just slightly favouring the way that East Fremantle are kicking to the left of your screen in the first quarter. It's more of an easterly, so coming towards the broadcast side today, which is never something to complain about when you're commentating. Good long kick from Maguire clearing the area, and Swans able to set something up through right. Good kick to the goal kicker, who's pushed up hard to take this mark in Edwards. She wants to come inside with the next kick to Wheelstruck. Just cleared her head. At the back, coming through strongly. Nice collect from Morrison. Gives it off and then gets it back. Nearly blindsided from the player coming off the bench. Ball spills out. Swans now going forward through Rennie. High ball. Didn't really give the forwards much of a chance. In fact, pretty much everyone back there is wearing blue and white. Noakes gives it off and gets a second crack at it. Baker blocks it well. Dispossessed though by Wong. Clever footballer. Sharon Wong gives it away to Sprilliant. High kick into the middle. Riley goes one-handed. Osborne, she's also clever. Off to Hardy. Wanted to get it back again. Hand pass didn't hit the target. Standing up in that one was Raisin until she put the ball on the ground. Now McClellan just tumbles a kick towards half forward. Foot race on. Canane beaten to it though by Swan Districts, who were very good in defence there, and Ralph. Or Gelmy it was. Now Cox. Time for a bounce. Gets a shove after kicking. As a result, it'll be relayed. It won't matter anyway because it's down the field with Ugle Hayward anyhow.
A bit frisky from Sanders. Probably just wanted a bit of a reward for the chase. Cox was clever with the kick. She's a good field kick, Jess Cox. This is Ugle Hayward towards Michaela Morrison, who does the fly, but taking it beautifully was Bolton behind. Really stamping her authority at centre-half back for East Fremantle. Reggie, her kick's turned over to Webb, but it's going to go straight back to Bolton again. This time fumbles around. She did a very good thing in not picking that up with Michaela Morrison ready to pick her pocket. Would have lost her phone and her wallet too. She's that quick, Michaela Morrison. would have left you wondering what happened. I think the strength of Bolton at centre-half back has actually been a bit of an indicator of the way, or has enabled East Fremantle to play more efficiently and effectively in the last week especially.
Sprullin now, hand pass away to McClellan. LeKay with a good tackle, affected the kick. Ross wants to take them on, she's caught. 2 Swans got hold of her. And Webb having an impact on this contest gets the free kick. They've only really gone inside 50 on a couple of occasions, Swans, but they do have the only goal of the game. Hardy running down the wing, drop the mark she'd normally take. Now she's got problems. Wong with a good tackle, but Hardy got the hand pass away. Look at how hard Webb has worked to get across to this contest to help out. Kick clears the target. Whistle on the play, a holding free kick according to the umpire. It's going to come back to East Fremantle. And the free kick will be picked out deep in the back pocket to be taken by Plushke. Short kick down the line to Gomes, and East Fremantle looking to maintain a bit of possession here with 3.5 minutes on the clock, down by 5 points late in the first.
Oh, they attempt to connect from Plushke to Sprullin, who's carried the line and puts the ball in the hands of Anderson. Anderson sporting the war paint today, opting for zinc last week too. Good look in the summer, I think. Bit of zinc, bit of a stripe on the schnoz. Anderson gets his shallow to the line. It should suit Bolton on Wellstrom. Bolton's looking for the line, does some terrific body work. Wellstrom might have popped a finger from the look of her reaction behind the play. The ball is off the foot. Both teams claiming it. Looks like a
It's a soccer match,
soccer match. Both saying it's mine, please, ump. Webb's picked it up, and the umpire said, one of the umpires said give it to Ashley Games, and the other umpire said no, leave it with Webb. Might have balled that up perhaps. Ball going in towards the full forward line now, and taking a very neat catch down there was Hope Ugle. Put enough pressure on Ab McMahon that Ab McMahon grabbed on. Hope Ugle looking to connect short for Edwards. It's carried her, and it's a nice mark from Marnie Alston, who has really developed her game as a defender over the last 2 years.
The Sharks' defence holding up well. Did concede an early goal, but not too much damage since then. Gomes now, captain of East Fremantle. Looked down the line, looked into the middle, didn't see anything she liked over there, so forced to go back down the line again. Baker at the back, just working her opponent under the football. Now Versace over the top with a tackle on her opponent in Rennie, and we'll see another ball up. So the Sharks in the first couple of weeks found it hard to score. They did manage 6 goals against Subi last week, but still goalless today. Easter started this match well, taken high in this tackle. It's a crowded forward 50 though, as she looks forward for an option. A couple of outriders for East Fremantle, but somehow Wilstra's just snuck away from Bolton, who arrived late to make a good spoil. Out the back go the Swans. Little hand passes down the line to Morrison. She's clever in this situation with the banana. She drills it. Outstanding finish. Great combination with Anderson. And the Indigenous girls combine very nicely there to finish well for Swans. And we'll watch this interesting replay. Morrison giving it off, getting it back from Anderson. And the banana to finish Deggs from a tight angle. She knew off the boot it was home.
Yeah, lovely little weighted ball too from Naira. She actually waited to draw the defender. And then Naira Anderson was able just to pop a lovely one. And I reckon Michaela Morrison smiled as that ball was on its way to her. And she was smiling throughout that banana. The smile continued. She went and congratulated Naira Anderson. And that's not quite against the way to play. I guess that's repeat entries, isn't it? So a lot of pressure on East Fremantle and eventually conceding that goal. So 2 goals, 1 to the Swannies, just 2 points for the Sharks.
So inside the last 40 seconds of this one. Just about quarter time. Ball tossed in the air. LeKay winning it down nicely to Webb. She's been outstanding early. As Swans get it towards half forward. Wong against the traffic. Did nicely. Straightened up on the left, and the kick just had a little bit too much on it for Sanders. But she mops up well. Now puts it inside 50, but Maguire so good at just sitting off her opponent. Reading the flight of the football, and then the delivery not too bad. Rennie attacked it hard, diving in at the loose football. Wong receiving. Pops the hand pass over the top, hoping for Gooch, but the siren beats them all. And that will end the first quarter. So a fairly even sort of contest. Both teams having their opportunities, but Swans making the most of theirs. And at quarter time in this round 4 contest, with Evie Gooch wandering off for the Sharks, it's Swan Districts by 11 points. They're 2-1. East Fremantle 2 behinds. Quarter time, round 4, WAFLW.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Inside the Swans huddle at quarter time, Matt Riggio, one of the assistants with the Swans women's group, having a chat with their midfield? Midfield I think it is there, with Bianca Webb in there. Saw Sarah Wilster, she did a lot of her work up forward, so interesting inside the East Fremantle huddle as well. There, Jenna Loams having a word with her troops. They're down by 11 points at quarter time. If we look at a few of the highlights from the first quarter, Dave Lindsay and Clint Degerot, that was the first goal, a soccer from just below the knee for Edwards. And they finished with a goal as well, but Bianca Webb has been probably the best player on the ground.
Yeah, she's been involved in all their forward entries, and she's blanketing or attempting to blanket, and the very dangerous Anne McMahon as well, who's had a terrific fortnight of footy. Been a bit fumbly so far, Anne McMahon, but East, no surprise this season so far. She debuted in the WAFLW in the first round for Swannies, and she's had a big impact on today's game behind Webb. And I've really liked Hardy and the backs. Hardy's been pretty good in the back pocket. I reckon it'll be her first experience. Edwards with a goal, of course, and McCullough Morrison with a goal, but Osborne, Maguire, the usual suspects for the Swannies as they build their attacking thrust from half back. And a lot of those names are household names in WAFLW football in Western Australia, and I reckon starting to get some reputation over east rather than overseas. Over east. Well, might as well be overseas. It's that far away. You're not allowed to go there. Alice Williams has started well. Ruckman, Laura McLennan's been good too. Versace's been busy. Gucci and Marnie Alston as well for the Sharks. Ross and Wong continue just to put pressure on opposition midfield.
It's a really good mix of experience and youth, isn't it, amongst Swans? They've always promoted their youngsters through, and they've managed to hold on to a few of their more seasoned veterans.
Well, Lauren Osborne, I don't think she's 30 yet. If she is, she's only just. So she's probably got 5 or 6 years left of footy. She's got so much to teach these kids. And, of course, the experience of Emma Maguire and even Tara Stribley's been training with the Swans since she's 13. So she's 17 now, but she's had 4 years training with this comp. The compliment I think you can pay the Swans is they do play young players, but they wait until they're emotionally mature enough to handle the pressure and potentially losing and not playing well, which is a remarkable. That's a real skill that the Swans have had, is when to play the young players. So some players are physically and skillfully ready enough, but are not ready to be beaten on the body or stripped of an opportunity. But having said that too, what you want with your debut players is to get a touch. And Wright and Taylor have had their first touches in the game, and Baker as well as Rennie have had a couple of involvements too. So they'll all settle with that. So well done to the Swans to continue to understand when a player is ready to handle the rigours of league football. And of course they do spell them over at the Sharks too this year. They've debuted a number of juniors, including a player out there today, Rayson, who's in her 16th year from the Willetton Basketball Club. Wilton, the first basketball club that we've had an experience with that is happy for a player to go and play as many sports as they can. So modernising the basketball in WA is Wilton. Of course, Mark Ornette over there played at East Fremantle. He's been involved in full-time professional football for about 15 years before he headed over to Wilton as a CEO. So perhaps having a wonderful influence on that area, which will suit the Sharks, that's for sure.
A nice centre there down at the Wilton Basketball Stadium with 7 indoor courts now. Out there during the week, having a look. It's improved a bit. There were 4 pretty dark and dingy indoor ones and a number of outdoor courts not so long ago, but now a very nice centre. So it's time to go here for the second quarter, and it's time for the Sharks to go because they really need to get themselves on the scoreboard. Didn't kick a goal in the first quarter. Swans with the only 2 majors in the first term. Wilstra starting in the ruck again. McMahon worked off the football. Ball slips out the back. McMahon nearly gets it back. East again, standing up well in a tackle, gives it off to Cox. Williams attacking it nicely off half-back, searching for Rayson, who paddled to her own advantage, then couldn't quite find the handle at the next effort. Now slapped forward again by Wilstra. Umpire from 70 metres away spotted a throw. And it's going to be a free kick going the way of East Fremantle, and Ellie Sanders will get to take it. Got the nice fluorescent pink boots on. She uses them well. McMahon. Such an important player for this East Fremantle lineup. Kicks to centre half forward. There's a couple of Sharks waiting for this one. Versace takes it. Just a little bit too far out to score. So what will she have on up forward? And decides to go deep towards Gooch. Off hands. Maguire just seems to know where the ball's going to land more often than not. Couldn't find the bouncing footy on that occasion though. Clearing kick coming out by Henry. Overrunning it this time East. East Fremantle through Gomes mopping it up. Off to McMahon. Versace again. Attacked it hard in the air. Couldn't finish it off. Osborne under pressure. Just allowed herself to be slung in the tackle to get a hand pass away. East found that football where no one else could. Gives it off to Cox, who clears for distance.
Well done. It was Versace trying a face mark rather than a chest mark. That'll sting. Meanwhile, centre wing, Alex Williams working it towards O'Donnell. Hasn't been asked too much defensive work today so far, Harley McDonald. Doing a lot of defensive work as Skinny. She kicks this into the back of East, who rebounds the ball to Cox. Cox gets to set up play again. So much a playmaker. This time she turns it over to Sanders, and Sanders is playing well. Impressive, hard-running player. And as you said, a couple of her kicks have been scything, and this is no example either. Well, this is no exception, I should say, except for Cox has fallen back in the hole. Sanders searching for Gooch. Cox, away she goes again. This time connects with Gelmy, up from fullback. Gelmy on the far side finds Wright. First game. 16-year-old from Swan Districts. It's the ball long and deep towards Webb. Webb goes with the flight of the footy, but she's been done for a little push, I think, and she's more of a measure of where she was on the ground rather than too big a shove. Hand in the back it was. The Sharks will be able to start a forward thrust again. She finds Wong in the centre of the ground. Wong now tumbles the ball towards a nest of Swans and Sharks. Through Cox's hands onto Maguire. Rebounded by McMahon. Falls in Versace's hands. Going forward now is Rayson. Races on deep. Radokovic is quick. Can she steer the football against Ralph? Ralph is also fastest, or just as fast, I should say. This ball now in the hands of Ralph. Neat little hands off from her teammate. She has a bounce and then changes direction and dusts 2 Sharks off. And then I reckon she miskicks this towards Welstra, who dropped the catch. Wong rebounds. Fierce body throwing in. Rayson stands up the 50-year-old. The ball falls with Gooch. She goes over the top of the pack and she's registered East Fremantle's first. Cacophony of interesting things happening down there. Dare you say shenanigans. But Welstra's drop mark opens the door for Gooch to bang one home from 30, and she'll feel a little bit better about that one after missing one that she would normally get in the first quarter. And Sharks are on the board. They're 1-2. Now Swan Districts 2-1.
Shame for Ralph, wasn't it? Some bold football there as she took off and changed directions in a flash. Kick didn't quite come off, and East Fremantle made them pay.
Kick was good enough. I think it was just fantastic from the Sharks.
It was there, but unfortunately didn't quite work out the way that they would have liked. So East Fremantle get there first. It's taken some time. This is the second quarter. It's been a good contest so far. Both teams have had their chances up forward.
It's just that last kick isn't a little shallow for both sides.
So the ruck contest, Wilstra timed her leap a little better. East had the footy for a moment. That might be a free kick to Wong, who was buried into the turf here at East Fremantle Oval. So Sharon Wong right in the middle of the ground. Umpire will come and set her on her mark. There's a short one on. Goes over the top of that. Kick towards Sanders. Couldn't quite get the timing of the leap there. Right now onto the wing position. Bit of support coming from Stribley. They couldn't win it out though. East Fremantle get the clearing kick. Osborne always happy to leave her player to attack the football and then kicks for distance, clearing it out wide. It's gone out of play. It'll be a free kick and it'll be taken by Ali Noakes on that far side wing here at East Fremantle Oval. 5 points in it. East Fremantle with the only goal of this term.
Another youngster, Noakes. It's a lovely kick in. Feature of her game as a youngster. The first thing to identify was her ability to kick the ball accurately and long. Half back now for Swans, half forward for the Sharks. Picked up beautifully, going the other way was brilliant. She's stripped to the footy and is holding the ball. Michaela Morrison, it's Dana East who's worked herself up the ground. Back of the box, she's had a big influence on this game. Short kick in, chopped off by Sanders again. Sanders would have to be best on the ground for the Sharkies in quarter 2 if she wasn't in quarter 1, and her kick advantage is Riley, who has to stop. Mel Hardy comes in. She stands up in the Hardy tackle and she's clever by foot. This time she's got too far across. Is there enough to do for the Sharks? Radokovic clever in this situation. Ralph runs the kick down. Can she extract herself again? Good tackle from Radokovic. Great follow-up. Ball bouncing around 50. It's in Radokovic's hands again. Has she got the accuracy? She does. Well done, Gabrielle Radokovic, to be able to be involved in that game 5 to 7 times until she was able to kick the goal that puts East Fremantle Sharks in front. Remarkable effort.
First time today for the Sharks, and Radokovic, value for effort. Second, third, fourth efforts there. Chloe Riley's work to stand up in a tackle was pretty impressive before that, and I think Ralph getting the hand in on the shot on goal as well. So fantastic clash, and East Fremantle have come out firing in this second quarter.
Well, you get probably 1 possession for that, Radokovic, but if you're statting 1%, she probably got 7. That's probably a criticism of her game as a youth footballer, has been the lack of front end pressure, but she's announcing herself here today, or just then, as a pressure forward.
So East Freo up by a point. First time this afternoon they've taken the lead. McClellan with 2 taps at that one, sprilling onto the loose football. They'll go forward again. Land about 40 metres out, slips through the hands at the back. Canane, she threw it according to the umpire. Good recovery there from Swan Districts deep in defence. Nicely done by Jamie Henry. Got the free kick, clearing kick to Baker, gives it off to Hardy, about to be run down by 2 Sharks. That was a quick whistle, holding the ball. Versace gets the free kick. They've found a real spark here, East Freo. Versace chips it in short. Kick doesn't really give the forwards much opportunity. Now, the players heard a whistle and stopped. That was Radokovic. She fooled everyone. High kick read best by Osborne, who attacks it in the air. Don't think we heard a whistle that time with the mark either. Clearing kick straight to Sprillian. She was bumped front on. Wasn't much in it, but it was enough to make her drop the mark. And as a result, the umpire's happy to give her a free kick. So Sprillian has it between wing and half forward.
Short kick in. Favours Versace. Wasn't necessarily intended to go there. Her kick on the right foot around the corner finds the path of Ross. Ralph again trying to clear. Versace very busy at half forward. Like the way she plays. She's a thinking footballer as Baker tries to mop this up, but it's chopped off McLennan. That's gone 6.375 metres. Couple short of the 15 required. Umpire pays that one. McLennan just decides to put it long ball in. Why not? Dangerous nest of hands. Probably the team that's toughest to get a long ball into would be the Swans. Dave Lindsay with Osborne and Maguire able to read the ball so well.
They're under siege in this quarter though. Umpire calling for nominations. Ralph coming in very late there. The umpire was happy to accept that one. Taps it down, hoping for Jelmy. Riley applying the pressure. Players coming in from everywhere. Trying to emerge. There was Ralph, dragged off the kick by Versace. Tough scrap for the football. Nice little flick back from Ravel. Gives the Sharks a chance. They go deep into the pocket. Radokovic involved again. Osborne a clever little move. Left-footed kick down the line is also good. Clears the area for the moment at least. Ravel, she's upended by Webb. And it just goes out of play inside the 50. So we'll see a boundary throw in midway through this second quarter. East Fremantle with the only 2 goals of the quarter after Swans kicked 2 in the first. And as a result, we've got a very tight contest here midway through the second quarter.
A couple of very good defensive efforts from Jamie Henry there, where another player might have run in and touched the the shoulder or the upper arm and giving a free kick away. She got nice and low and was able to provide some good pressure. Ball bouncing around. Wong just about to pounce on it. Diving in there was Rennie, chopping her off. Ball bouncing around at half forward again for the Sharks. They've been good in this situation. The handball releases to Riley. Riley clever in front of goals. Just quite can't get things going her way at the moment, but is starting to look dangerous deep inside the Sharks forward 50.
Started the season as a defender, Chloe Riley, now going forward.
There's a little run on the wing as well. This ball has gone up to it's gone up to the hill, and Lauren Osborne can't find a goal for her behind the goals. She gets to chew up 2.5 minutes of good East Fremantle forward play.
We haven't got the spare footies just behind the goal umpires today.
I do not like the idea of the fullback having to go and get her own footy. Anyway, Lauren Osborne steps into play. Rokovic doesn't really put any heat on her, so consequently she can get it towards Lakay. It's mispronounced Lakey. It's driven a name at Swans. A nickname for her is Puddles. Swans move this towards the wing. It's gone out of bounds off the foot. Last possession, and East Fremantle will be able to bring that back in. It'll be Noakes. So Puddles, Adam Dancy calls up. One of the tallest players in the competition. Well, goes over the head of one of the other tallest players in the competition, McLennan. Of course, Rosie Walsh today. One of the taller, well, probably the third tallest player in the competition. Playing the back pocket for Sharks reserves. Shannon Rennie stands up in a tackle. Sanders again. Great work, Sanders coming in. Edgley picks this ball up somehow inside out to Baker. Baker's handball releases Cox. It's a great build-up for Swans against play. Wellstra's been playing forward, perhaps as a decoy on Bolton. She's running towards goal now. Bolton won't catch her. It's just a matter of accuracy. And she doesn't have it from the look of it because she's got it wide. Or it was probably shallow in the end, but didn't probably realise she could have run another 25 metres and tried to kick it into the bowling club.
Yep, she's quick. She's very quick, the dozer. But, yeah, just lacked a bit of composure on that occasion.
The shin to foot ratio was high in shin.
Bolton with a kick back into play. It's all Swan districts. They fly against each other there, Baker and Morrison. Loose football close to the boundary. Two Sharks coming towards it as well. Pump back inside 50. Anderson gets it to the hot spot. Dangerous position. Plushke with the roving, though. Gets the clearance away. Ugle a big leap. Didn't interfere according to the umpire, but she's definitely put the knee right in the middle of the back of McMahon. She's survived tougher battles than that, and she'll be okay as Naomi Baker's looking for a rotation. Blowing pretty hard in her first game of football for nearly 2 years. So the boundary umpire will do his work to get the ball back into motion. You can see Ellie Sanders there on screen. Had a very good start to this second quarter. East Fremantle have controlled the first 12 minutes of this term. Kicked 2 goals. It's a kick going in the opposite direction by McMahon. Not exactly what you need. Morrison now, she'll take full benefit. Hand passes it away to Edwards, who kicks long. It clears the pack. How will it bounce? Misses to the left. And McMahon, she got a knock to the back, but it might have concussed her dead because she kicked it 20 metres in the wrong direction.
Anyone that's had a back court that wins you knows that it stays with you for the rest of the game as Bolton kicks the ball back into play. Goes over, or potentially carries the target to Noakes. It's a fierce tackle on her. The ball jars free towards the line. Sanders again. Gooch reads the ball so well. Good contest from Ugle. Hayward just has to try and press her in here. Pressure on the kick's good. Slides towards the line, and Hardy on Riley is able to get the ball out of line. I've been impressed with Hardy, Reg.
Yeah, I've liked her work. She's been very clever down there and used it well on the way out as well.
One of the strong-legged or balanced players, these Swan districts, but also in the AFLW 19's a WA team, and of course Riley is too. Two players that really like to keep their feet really strong through the core. We saw a couple of one-on-one battles with them during the week at training. Her and Michaela Tuhakarena was super. Those 3 players, of course, giving their all for their clubs. Young players with bright futures. This ball, boundary throw-ins, it's been a bit of a lottery for the throw-ins. Goes over the back towards Cox. The Rucks didn't have any play in that one, and it hits Edwards. Edwards busy again. I like her when she gets up high. She's got some running power as well. Standing the mark and playing on now. Alston charged the kick down. Goes over the back towards Stribley, who looks to be treading water until she gets a read. She's got to read now, and she gets it out of the air. And it could have been anything. But she's hit the post.
It's almost a banana out of mid-air there, and didn't quite get enough bend, but wasn't far off.
Well, she just changed down to third just so she could track that nicely, and I thought she did everything right as Bolton restarts for the Sharks.
So the 3 consecutive behinds have put Swans in front. They'll get another opportunity here because there's an intercept mark taken by Edwards. Webb gives a lead. The kick was in that direction but didn't get anywhere near her in the end. And the saving mark's been taken by Alston. And she's called a play on. She's got problems here because Anderson won't let her get past. Forces the errant kick. Edwards gets a chance to make amends. She tumbles it towards the goal square. Wilstra blocks it with the shins. Alston fighting on. 2 Swans to beat now at ground level. Anderson drags it back in underneath Alston, and that's the way the umpire saw it as well. I think Anderson was hoping for the holding the ball call.
Anderson's a bit rough, I reckon. She's allowed to step around anybody on the field, but no one's allowed to step around her. She's not sharing as well as she might.
Wilstra and Bolton. Bolton, of course, having done a lot of ruck work in a past life, now playing as a defender this year. McMahon tracked it well, gathered it nicely. Hand pass was coughed up, though, by her teammate in Williams. Well, getting in low was Ugal Haywood, who did very well to extract that football, and then she's kicked into the pocket. Boundary umpire gives the lasso move, but then gets just a little bit of a word of caution from the field umpire saying, hang on, don't get too carried away. You've still got to throw it in occasionally, mate. You can't give a free kick every time.
It is the second funnest signal behind holding the ball. Riding the horse on the range. Western USA, McLennan. Walster runs past her. McLennan takes out of the air, and actually it's Bolton just kicks it towards 50. Cox drops the intercept. Now she's attracted the attention of Gomes, who forces the ball up. Good defensive work, Sharks. Strong body on from Lakey. Give her that one. Webb as a jumper tug. Gets it off the ground and it falls truly and into the hands of the Swans. This is Edwards again. Edwards is pretty confident. He looks to have tucked the ball under the arm. It's a long kick. He's going to have to travel all of 45 to carry the line. Play on now. She keeps it low. It's definitely intended for Welstra. Doesn't quite find her. Plushke's able to tow the ball towards Gooch, and Gooch can clear. Riley and Hardy again. Exciting matchup right in front of the dugouts. Hardy gets the lead. Little shove from Riley, and it was just enough. Riley's just had a couple of whispers in Hardy's ear that she didn't deserve that one. Hardy plays on inside. Finds Henry, the 15-year-old. Impressive start to her league career. Could easily be playing in the Rogers Cup. She just shins this towards LeKay. It's got too much on it and falls into the hands of Sanders, who's just amassing possession across the ground for the Sharks. Not much ahead. Swans have boxed the game up nicely. Dancy would be proud. Looking for McMahon. Webb from behind. McMahon rebounds the footy, and they both would agree with each other, I think. A little reset and the gather of the breath.
Just over a minute to go before half-time. East Fremantle 2 goals in the second quarter. Swans 2 in the first. And Swans hold the narrowest of leads. East trying to crash through. Umpire decided that wasn't holding the ball, and then also decided she wasn't held without it after being held on to a long time after that ball spilled out. Gelmy now with the kick into a dangerous position in the middle of the ground. Bad bounce for Webb. Gives Gelmy a chance. Off to McMahon. Standing start torpedo. Clears the pack. Radokovic couldn't take it. Maguire paddling. Got good support from Ralph. Here she goes on one of these runs again. Once more, it's an interesting kick on the way out, but it sits up okay for Cox. And Swans might get the last chance for a score here. Webb, that was an awkward footy to control, but she did it nicely with a little touch. And then the kick on the 45 degree is outstanding to East. It's opened up some opportunities up forward. East kick just lacked a bit of penetration. Alston gets in the way at centre-half back for East Freo and earns herself a free kick for some high contact. And that should be enough for the Sharks to make sure that they don't concede again before half-time. Last 10 seconds of the quarter. Alston kicks long, turns it over to East. Needs to get it in very quick if they're to score here. Pops it up towards centre-half forward. Floating in Anderson. Can't take it. And there is the siren to end what's been a very entertaining and very hotly contested first half of football. The first quarter belonging to Swan Districts. And then East Fremantle turn things around with 6 minutes of red-hot football to start the second quarter. And as a result, we've got a very tight battle at half-time. Swans 2-4, lead East Fremantle 2-3. It's a 1-point margin to the visitors. They're trying to protect their undefeated record to start this season, while East Fremantle searching for a second consecutive win after losing their first 2. And a strong rebound last week against Subiaco. The black and whites in their Indigenous jumpers making their way across towards the rooms. They'll enjoy a bit of shade and a bit of cooler temperature for them. It's a nice warm day here at East Fremantle Oval. A little bit of breeze about, but really perfect conditions for footy. As the Swans gather before they head into the rooms, we'll take a break here. The black and whites by 1 point at half-time. 2-4 playing 2-3.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Half time down here at New Choice Homes Park, WAFLW round 4. The kids are enjoying the sunshine and the warm conditions here at East Fremantle and having a kick out on the ground at the half-time break. A little Eagles fan there with a Dockers footy or a Swans footy. Might be a Swans footy, kicking with one of the Swans trainers out there. So it's been a fantastic game of football so far. Half-time, as we look at some of the highlights from the first half. 2-4 playing 2-3. Swans have a 1-point lead. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degebrot, your commentators for this afternoon. And Degs, it hasn't really been a game of two halves because I think both teams have had a fair share of it in each of the quarters, but Swans kicked their 2 goals in the first quarter and East Fremantle their 2 goals early in the second.
Probably had a chance too. A couple of Wellstra would rue missing hers, and of course Stribley as well, very clever out of the air. Even had time to control that perhaps with the left hand, but soccer skills for her. I think she's played a fair bit of soccer as well, so you back her to get that. So could easily be 4-2 to 2-3, which is probably more reflective of the way that quarter was played in the game so far. But Sharks just providing enough pressure around the place just to worry the Swannies a little bit. Swannies quite young, so maybe they're feeling that. And a lot of the Sharkies got up and about then. So Riley was good in that quarter. Radokovic. Riley continually pressured the opposition. She was fairly well held herself, but she was menacing, and that created a couple of different opportunities. Bolton been very good at centre half back. I think Sanders was terrific in that quarter for the Sharks, and I just want to say Torrens Ravel again because that's the best name I've read at least this week. And hopefully she's born in South Australia to a footy family. Oh, there's a couple of photos being snapped here. That's the last thing we need to see is photos of ourselves, and thankfully this camera has never been turned on in the commentary box, but nothing about us. It's Michaela Morrison, terrific goal receiving that one in the first quarter off the hands with seconds to go. Nora Anderson, that was Sanders herself just connecting with McMahon on the highlights. And I haven't seen too much of Sanders, but if I have in the last 2 weeks, I haven't seen her play like this.
No, she's been very impressive. She's involved there again in our highlights with an intercept mark. So her second quarter in particular was eye-catching, and some of the footy that she's produced throughout today, it's been some of the best we've seen this afternoon. Amy Ralph's been in a lot deep in defence. We'll see a bit of her here as well, as she really was quite exciting coming out of defence. It did cost them a goal on this occasion when her kick didn't quite connect with the teammate at half-back, but Evie Gooch, who's just spending a bit of time playing for East Fremantle.
This is Radokovic's tackle.
Yeah,
I think this will be her goal here. Here it comes, and that sort of, she just said, yeah, no worries. Terrific from a young player. That didn't really capture how hard she'd worked for that.
Her piece of work just there to convince everyone that there was a whistle somewhere, and she tricked 32 players out there on the field, including herself.
Another basketballer. She's calling her own foul. The umpire went with it. There was a couple of whistles that were imaginary in that little passage of play as well. So the game has been well officiated. It's Plushke in the highlights just tumbling the ball towards what might have been a screamer from Hugo Hayward. I've got her marked on my sheet too because former Claremont player flirted with the 18s. She was good enough. She couldn't quite get herself organised. Always talented. We always knew how good she was. Up to West Perth last year with her sister Amber, and turned up to the Swans, both of them this year, and Hope Ugle-Hayward is now showing how good she is. Amber, too, terrific player, fierce defender.
That's
we
a
can
goal.
see some terrific attack on the...
I reckon the dog just got the nose of the ball before the line there.
Was a terrific attack on the ball. Is it wearing Swan District's colours?
Yeah. I reckon it's
It
a
is
goal.
a goal.
It's definitely all clear.
He's just waiting for the replay, I think, the dog.
He's going back to celebrate. So, no, there's every man and his dog here today. A lot of kids, they're enjoying themselves. It's a nice place to be down here at East Fremantle Oval. Much better being here on a March afternoon than a July one when it's about 10 degrees and the rain's coming in sideways. So.
Wonderful, wonderful beard. It's one of the best things I think about WAFLW is there's a dad out there kicking the footy with his daughter, and his daughter is wearing a West Coast Eagles jumper. Girls have always been fans and included in AFL football, of course, but none's given the access that the kids have got now is just so good, and it's totally normal to be having a favourite player for the West Coast Eagles women's team, and be tacking Michaela Bowen's number on that, I reckon, in the next couple of years, that youngster.
So Michaela and also Shanae Davison here watching their WAFL team, Swan Districts, in action, but it's time for us to take a little bit of a look at the WAFL season. Round one's just under 3 weeks away, so let's have a look at the Subiaco Football Club as they gear up for another big season in 2021.
For me, I'd finished uni at Deakin University in Melbourne, and after that point I was ready for a new challenge. I'd spent 2 years at Frankston Football Club, and Perth is something that's always interested me, and I come over here to see what it would be like to work and live here, and 7 years later here I am.
I loved everything I had going on in Melbourne at the time. I was playing footy at a great footy club, Frankston, and loved that, so it was a really tough decision. But yeah, when I came and met and saw the club, and having Lockie here obviously made it a lot easier to move, and I'm really rapt I did. It was a great choice that I made at the time.
We've been ingrained in the culture here that's been set well before we arrived, and the big thing for me is the written or unspoken fabric of the club, the standards that they hold.
Yeah, I think it brings everything together. So in terms of the professionalism of the place is second to none, the club culture and the inclusiveness of the place, and I think Subi, what it does really well is combines those things together, and I think that's the real charm about the place.
Yeah, state footy is a huge honour. Just growing up in Victoria to one day pull on the big V and not being able to do it, moving to WA was always high on the bucket list, and every year it comes around, you're sort of scratching yourself, hoping you're going to make that team and represent the state. Probably a highlight for us is when we did beat the big V and put them into retirement.
That win in Victoria after not beating him for 70 years, that was huge to be a part of, and celebrated appropriately, and then the one the following year in South Australia was huge as well, so it's something that we're really grateful that we get to be a part of, so really thankful for the support that Kia provides that to continue to keep going.
And the benchmark of the WAFL goes back to back. One of the most emphatic performances in recent grand final history.
That tag of being hunted it's one of two ways you can approach it. You can be fearful of it, or you can embrace it and realise that every game is an opportunity for either team to win, and if you're not desperate enough, you can slip away really quickly. So it's a good way for just continuing to hone your skills and make sure that you're ready to go every week, because if you're not, someone's going to get your number.
I hereby declare Lachlan Delahunty from the Subiaco Football Club winner of the 2019 Sandover Medal with 28 votes.
Yeah, it's a huge honour, and it's a whirlwind of a week to see the players that have won it before me, and to be a part of that sort of history now, and the Sandover family with incredible experience and something that I'll certainly value forever.
It's a little bit cliche, but it really is a huge honour to be captain of Subi Footy Club and a club like this. When you look about the men who have come before me and held this position, they're really well respected guys in the community. If I can have anything near the sort of impact those guys had on their playing group and the club going forward, then I'll be really proud of what I've been able to add to Subi Footy Club when I do hang up the boots.
And now Delahunty, the Sandover medalist, has to finish it. Will he? Can he? Oh, that is the play of the year! Outstanding, Subiaco.
This footy club for us is like our family, being away home from Victoria. I think it's fair to say that for both of us. They've embraced us, we've embraced it, and being a part of it is a big part of why we're here.
Sort of pinch yourself every time you pull on the jumper, because this is a moment in our life that we're cherishing and enjoying, and it's something we'll never take for granted.
Subiaco Footy Club on the men's side of things looking to rebound after a disappointing season last year. the team of the competition for a decade or so beforehand, and quite surprising to see them slip a little bit down the table and miss the finals last year, but I'm sure we can expect them to bounce back pretty hard as the kids are still enjoying themselves out there at half-time. The umpires are making their way back onto East Fremantle Oval as we speak, so time for us to take a break before we turn our attention to the second half here. Swan Districts lead it by 1 point. They're 2-4-16. East Fremantle are 2-3-15. So much to play for in the second half here at New Choice Homes Park. Back with more in a moment.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Swan Districts with a bit of knee slapping to get themselves started for the second half. Just trying to sparkle a bit. One of your favourites, Deg?
It is. I think a bit more intensity for me. Now we can see, if you had have got to see Michaela Morrison and Naira Anderson going at it, it was the least intense thing I've seen in my life.
Some of these bumps between Dana East and Naira don't have too much behind them either. So
very funny stuff.
East Fremantle, a little bit more of a traditional restart as they go through some of their motions there. And looking over towards the Swans huddle right now, there's a bit of dancing going on as well. So they're really looking to get things started in a different way in the second half.
For anyone that doesn't know about female football that's listening, we can let you know a little secret. If the players are dancing and clapping and singing, it means they're on.
Have a look at this. One of the trainers for Swans in the huddle having a dance to start the third quarter. So they're in a good mood, Swans. They only lead by a point, but they're happy.
Well, a quite intense male change room, the players are on.
Yep.
A quite intense female change room, they're not on. They're scared and they're worried. And if you had boys doing that after half time, you'd be very, very concerned. What would Tony McHale say about East Fremantle that came out and danced at half time? But we'll see. Could stand here absolutely corrected if Swans can't get a fast start. But just in my experience over the last couple of years,
trying to get Bakes in the middle now. Oh, Jelmy. Oh, okay.
We need to get the camera off that group.
That might be the first twerk on a waffle field we've ever seen, I'd say. But
oh no, I reckon it's the first twerk broadcast on a WAFLW screen. A lot of Friday night moves here on Sunday afternoon at Moss Street Oval.
It's 1 point the difference, in case you're just joining us. Swans leading it.
Yeah, go back to the football.
They led by 11 points at quarter time, kicking the first 2 goals of the game, but East Fremantle responded with 2 of their own. At the other end, things look a little bit more serious with Ashley Gomes. They might be going through the old 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they are. So they're very traditional, their football warm-up. That's old school under 12s in the change rooms at Inglewood Oval, I reckon.
I reckon we were used to that at Kenwick in 1992. And captain, when you're at 10 and you'd have to do 10. And I used to pretend that fired me up. I was a little more cerebral than having to shout out numbers. Good way to generate a bit of energy and voice.
Bianca Webb, who was very impressive, as expected, I suppose, in the first half. Looking to press her case for a recall.
She's a player that's able to play the same game at the different levels of herself. So she doesn't change her game to come back to WAFLW. She brings her game back. And I reckon Gooch, Williams and McMahon have done something similar today as Gooch finds her form. I've been impressed with Alex Williams. I think that the Dockers would like to see her coming off her player and taking those marks and start to change direction by foot with her team, real leadership down back, which she is. She's been a wonderful defender in WA for a long period of time. Of course, a couple of seasons with Greater Western Sydney in the inaugural years of the AFLW. Famed defender for the Sharks and WA, Alex Williams. It's nice to see her going. She's got an old mate down there in Plushkey who plays pretty well. It's a premiership defensive unit. Ready to restart in the middle just about. The dancing and the energy and the nerves coming out. All the games he's dancing now on the close wing. Naomi Baker playing wide of her. We're going to start it all again for another exciting half of WAFLW football on Sunday afternoon.
So Sarah Lackey will have a crack in the ruck on this occasion against McClellan. Seen Wilstra start at most centre bounces so far, but Lackey gives it the big spike and gains 20 metres for her team. Running onto it was Webb, dragged off the kick. Wong swooping on that loose football towards Gomes, pressured out of it by Baker, who's first to recover as well. Hand pass was blocked. Now the loose footy coming out the back door. Overrunning it there, the Sharks. Chance here for Hugo Hayward. Her hand pass intercepted. Fremantle will clear. McClellan just sitting off the pack. Earns herself a possession. Hand pass away to Gomes. Crowd telling her to keep running. Maybe she should have, because those floaty kicks, that's exactly what Em Maguire wants to see. She attacks it so well in the air and normally uses it well on the way out. And this is no different to normal. Rennie with the footy.
Baker just got ahead of that one. Edgley hasn't made a stamp her influence in this game, although she's attracted some key defenders. Naomi Baker could have received that handball just slightly mistimed in her first game back. Would have been a nice little piece of running play. Rennie was looking for her. Just can't quite connect down the ground with the result kick. Lackey has been doing a lot of ruck training in the State Academy. She takes front spot, takes out of the ruck, or attempts to. Falls off her chest and into the hands of Wong, who pushes her way to Danielle Wright, then decides not to run over young Righty. Steps left and right, looking forward for Radokovic. She's 2v1 with Ralph and Osborne. Osborne kicks go nowhere, but it's good enough for Henry. Henry just steps through on the left foot and finds Lackey. Neat stuff from the youngster. Lackey goosing the accelerator, looking for Edgley on Williams, and Edgley takes a nice overhead mark against Williams, and the young player just continues to stand up at league level. East Perth product. It's a lovely ball in, swinging left to right. Wilstra can't quite complete the mark. Rennie off the deck, and she gets it around the corner for a minor score. Exciting build-up. Lackey, East Perth product from Colbinia, gets it across to Edgley, who plied her trade at the same club from memory. Exciting build-up for the youngsters from Swans.
Bolton had to go and fetch her own football and then chips it to the pocket. That's O'Donnell, who can set something up for East Fremantle. Long and wide with the kick. Good contest there by Hugo Hayward, who then got her head down over the football and probably could have almost earned a free kick there for some high contact in the contest against Torrens Ravel. I think with Torrens Ravel, you have to say her first name. You can't just go with the surname.
No, I like that.
I think it's a rule. We're just beneath the scoreboard here at New Choice Homes Park. Swans 2 points to the good on that scoreboard. Chloe Taylor had a crack at that one. Gooch wins the football away, though, towards the wing. A lot of players congested in one little spot there. Radokovic was dragged off it. Raisins, quick kick around the corner, lands with Versace. Thought about coming inside, decides to kick down the line to Canane. Back to Versace. Floating a hand pass over the top. Baker, favoured by that, opposed to Ross. Gives a hand pass off to Osborne, runs herself straight into traffic. Ross has got her wrapped up. That'll be holding the ball. Good pressure from East Fremantle, forced Swan Districts backwards and then earning a free kick as well. So Maddie Ross, who's just outside of her range here, if she can go quick, there's not too many Swans defenders back.
Djokovic is alone.
Little chip pass on the lead, hoping for Versace. Would have been her third or fourth involvement in this passage. It hasn't worked out. And Lakay on the way out takes a good mark overhead.
Tumbles the ball in board, ends up with East. She gets it out to Morrison to right. East has run on, trying to track this footy. If she can get it, she gets a clean run. Chloe Taylor steps out of her way, gives it to Morrison, tumbles forward. Walsher again playing deep. This guy, it's Chloe Taylor, the youngster, uses her opposite foot to tumble the ball towards Rennie. So Donald that will lead the race. Bolton tries to finish Rennie's day. Luckily misses towards Brilliant. The rebounding kick from the Sharks. Right picks her pocket and tumbles the ball forward again. Bolton in a good spot, but over the back it's Edgley again. And she just reads the ball so well in flight against two quality defenders. Is able to catch the ball between them.
Really good stretch from her, wasn't it? It looked like it was just going to drift over her head, but she plucked it.
Probably her lowest input and a half of a season, the first one here. She's been working hard. This quarter she's come out, she's made a promise to herself and her team that she's going to have an impact, and usually a very good kick of the football, and this kick is no exception. The youngster continues to break out. She's kicked a goal in every WAFLW game she's played, and this time last year, if you had said you're playing football next year at league level, she'd have told you didn't know what you were talking about. The kid can play.
5 goals for the season now for Bella Edgley. Michaela Morrison's kicked 5 as well for Swans. Naira Anderson's the other one who's been there damaging forward with 4.
Bree Hyde here and Dana East having a sprint off the ground. Of course, Bree Hyde on the way back from a little knee injury is doing 9 Ks.
I was going to say, the GPS you can see just poking out just above her between her shoulder blades.
Rose Huxtable, the athlete development coordinator for the West Australian Footy Commission, has been putting a GPS in her each week as she runs, and each week she tries to blow the thing up.
So back in the middle again. Lakay down to Webb. Nicely worked. Webb on the burst towards half forward. Playing in front, Williams. Might have copped a bit of a shove there from Morrison. Play on's the call. Socket forward for Swans. Webb's kept tracking this one. She earns the kick. It's an open goal, and she's faded a kick to the right. Always exciting when you see a midfielder back herself, win the footy, go again. Probably deserved a goal. But Swans have started this quarter brightly, just as East Fremantle started the second quarter, and now the Sharks need to hang on.
Fidel comes into the game. A couple of kicks early in the game. Number 27 for the Sharks. First time I've had a look at her. This is Bolton playing on from fullback, and it's a terrific idea. She gets it out towards Sprillian. First the ball, tries to keep her feet. Little fumble, and Wright does enough to pressure over the line. Speaking of Danielle Wright, I think Evangeline Gooch let her off the hook before. Could have run her over. But
she actually slowed down to do the little blind turn, didn't she?
And then mentioning that too on the far side, it was Maddie Ross could have attacked Naomi Baker. She chose to attack someone else. Of course, Maddie Ross, State Academy physiotherapist, had a fair bit to do with the rehab of Naomi Baker's knee as a State Academy athlete. And we've got the bowling contest on the front end of the square, Swans end, the centre square that is. And the players will get a little break as the umpire gets the restart play.
So Swans controlling the early stages of this third quarter. What can East Fremantle produce here? Can't win it away. Webb does instead. Puts it down in front of Wilstra, who does well around her ankles. Hand pass back in towards Webb. Webb will go back to Wilstra. Has time to straighten up here, and she nails it. Great finish from Wilstra. Goes back to celebrate with Webb. And I reckon most people who see Sarah Wilstra run around the footy field think, I reckon I've got her covered. But she's got a real turn of speed, and she's very good below the knees. And the finish here was superb. It's not a coach's manual ball drop by any means, but it's very effective. And even the celebration's done at 100 miles an hour.
A series of motorbikes when I was in my mid to late teens that used to have power band. And that was how they sold themselves, at a power band. I reckon Sarah Wilstra gets in a 6th gear, and she's got a little bit left. She can do a wheel stand in each gear, like a KTM 380 EGS. I'm sure that means of little interest to anybody listening, including myself, actually. I just remember that bike. Wonderful work from the Swans, dancing and singing before the quarter started. It seemed to work for them as Lakay goes into work again. Taps forward. Cox this time leading the run. They're taking a turn as a go-to. Brings in the winger in Tara Stribley, who shows a clean set of heads to Sanders, but Sanders is quick herself. Stribley, wonderful to back herself, gets it over to Edgley with a handball. Edgley tumbles the ball into the corridor. Can't quite get a handle. It's Morrison. She turns as she does so well. She pulls it, but she pulls it too much. The break is fantastic. Did the Sharks get a hand on it? The off break was enough. It's a goal. Michaela Morrison's got 2. What a wonderful bounce. Tara Stribley, Bella Edgley, wonderful damaging kick going forward, and Morrison was able to get in on the end of some wonderful work from the midfield brigade. Jess Cox and Sarah Lakay. Didn't get a possession, Lakay. I reckon Cox got much of one either, but both vital. And Bree Hyde,
she's just giving high fives. That's her job.
And she's giving high fives at high speed too, because the challenge, of course, for the Academy players and for the AFLW players indeed is to run at high speed. And she's been doing that.
That was exciting, wasn't it? That was straight out of the middle. And the speed you mentioned from Stribley, you can see her at the bottom of your screen here on the wing. She was away with a flash. Sanders gave chase. Gooch came across as well, but they couldn't stop her. And I reckon the introduction into the ruck from Lakay, who wins this one and her own football, has been a fantastic move after half-time. Might have almost caught East Fremantle asleep, perhaps. East with the kick towards half-forward. Edgley's come alive in this quarter as well. Now Cox puts it out in front of a teammate in Edwards. They are all up and about now, Swans. There's alarm bells going all over the East Fremantle box as Wilstra drops a chest mark. She'd like to have that one back. She might get a crack at a boundary throw-in this time.
Throat mark?
Yeah, just didn't quite judge that floater. But, gee, there was some good footy again. And Lakay in the ruck, she has provided something that we hadn't seen in the first half.
Well, Lakay's had 4 or 5 weeks of specialist ruck training with David Winter, who used to ruck at East Perth Football Club in the West Coast Eagles days down there, and he's has been able to come down and share his wisdom, and it's had a big impact on the way the girls set themselves and jump. Hopefully he's watching today, because he's watching some of his work in action in Lakay. He's also been working with the other rucks at the Academy in Wakefa, who's done a pretty good job over at Souths, and Naomi Wilson, young ruck from Peel, is playing in the Rogers Cup program out there. Another basketballer too. Lakay thumps this ball forward, reading it well ahead of plays Edgley, skips past her into the hands of Chloe Taylor, who just tucks it into the breadbasket and get a ball up. There's
been some different work though by Lakay. There's been a couple of the big spikes, but also a nice little palm into the path for Webb.
She's a good palm ruckman, and she does like the spike. This time she actually pulls it back to 7:30 on the clock. There should have been more from Jess Cox there, but a lot of pressure from the Sharks as Anderson can't quite find the handle. Wong. Now Gooch is trying to force herself into this game again as Sprillian pulls the ball around the corner towards Riley. It'll pitch in front of her and give her a horrible bounce. Allows Hardy to slap the ball forward. East keeps her feet. Wong doesn't. Feeds the ball out to Jess Cox. Jess Cox forward. Reading it best was O'Donnell. She's just stopped so she doesn't collide with the teammate in Alston. Edwards allows Edwards to kick the ball forward, and a wonderful intercepting mark by Kimberly Bolton.
So Bolton just to slow things down for a moment for East Fremantle. They need to find something on the way out. The kick a little bit too much on it for Rayson. Comes back with a good second effort, gets rid of an opponent, but then it's Swans who win the football away. And now a chance here through Morrison. A bit too far out to score, but she's put it into the path of Anderson. It really skips away from Anderson. The boundary will be too close. And it'll be a boundary throw-in. Those two so often on the same page. This time didn't quite get it right. So throw in right forward pocket. Special comments from Brianna Hyde, who's out on the field as the runner. Just letting everyone know that Ralphie's coming off.
Showing some of her leadership abilities too.
Chelmy is the player to replace. Here's Hope Ugle. Nice hand pass to Stribley, running away from goal, can't bend it back. She's put it probably further away from goal than where it started. Out of bounds on the full. East Fremantle with the free kick.
Just grab that ball from behind the goals rather than jump the fence. That's right, we're only playing with one football here in League Football 2021. Just using the one and asking our players to jump the fence. No time on for this either. I think we could do something about that. We'll have a chat. Get that remedied. The restart. Long ball in. Pretty messy, no real idea what to do here. Sprillian keeps it alive. She looks to turn inside, then changes her mind. She tackles Hope Ugle over the line, and they're both quite happy with that. This Archie getting a bit stroppy. Sprillian comes up, pushing and shoving. Good contact work. So boundary throwing. The Rucks have bolted in for a ball up. rather than a BTI, and the boundary umpire's done a nice job there and waited for them to reset. Could have thrown that into the corridor with no one ready. Ball bounces, no one's touched it. Off hands now. Rennie tries to get the ball forward. It works off hands to Wright. Wright puts a nice, neat ball up. Hasn't quite got the distance it does. Walstra just made that a good kick with her extra pace at the end. Kimberly Bolton's done really well because she's cribbed 7.5 metres in the mark here. Umpire only brought her back 1.5. Clever defending from a very experienced player in Bolton. Wellstra, who strikes the ball well despite a different ball drop. Can carry the distance from here. She gets up and under it, goes the distance, swings away late. It's bounced on the line and punched through by Williams. What a horrible bounce after Michaela Morrison's wonderful off break. Bounced on its end and stood up and allowed Williams to punch it through.
It's all Swans in this third quarter. Just 4 minutes left on the clock here for East Fremantle to work something out. Every goal of the game to the right of screen. So East Fremantle will finish in that direction. It's certainly been the scoring in. As this ball's collected by Rayson. Gives it away to Versace. Kicks towards the middle of the ground. Henry controlled it well. Kick doesn't have any real penetration. And Gomes, despite the sun causing a couple of issues, able to respot that footy in the sky and then takes the mark and short to Versace. Sharks looking to control possession for a little while. Now Versace goes, and she goes well. McMahon been very quiet this quarter. High kick towards full forward. Radokovic one out. At the back, the spoil is made, but Gooch has read this beautifully. Like an open book, she picked that one up, and it's a goal. Against the flow of play for East Fremantle, the first goal of the game to the left of screen, and that was just what they needed as we approach three-quarter time. Smart play from Gooch. So many players will fly in that situation. She didn't need to. She weighted down and off hands. You can see it there. That was forward pocket play 101 from the experienced Evie Gooch.
Lovely block from Kinane, and of course, to force Gelmy to come to the ball then too. She would like to sit off there, but the attack on the footy from the Sharks forward was good. It drew her in to make some body contact, and as you said, Gooch was sitting out the back beautifully in that role and was never going to miss from the top of the square.
2 goals for Evie Gooch today.
Could have been 3 too. Big day for the fullback. Obviously, introduction of Versace onto the footy has worked. She's able to intercept that ball at centre half back and then be involved in a couple of times. She's had a pretty good day, Versace. The Harvey product. This ball's one down by Lakay again, but sharked by that play of Versace. Gets it towards Gomes, who smartly goes off the ground. Just gets it forward towards Sprillian and Gelmy. Gelmy gets first little touch and is able to backfeed the ball nicely to Webb, who's worked hard back. Stribley, she's connected with Stribley in the middle of the ground. She felt Sanders' touch and fell forward to try and get that 50, I think. Smart young player. Umpire got a bit of experience himself. Stribley looking for Edgley. She's found a little space again in front of Williams. Having the better of Williams this quarter. Sanders gets very close to the mark there. Umpire looking at something else as Wellstra flies. Bolton does enough on her. East comes flashing through. She looks for the right foot to pull it around. She's got a good bounce on it. No one will catch Wellstra if she can gather. She comes back inside, throws that ball away, and the umpire does call it that way. Wonderful pressure by Bolton again.
She stood up well in defence. Kimberly Bolton. Mentioned earlier that certainly as far as I've known, she's been a ruck for her entire career. This year in defence has done a very good job. Racing one of the youngsters who's getting an opportunity in the ruck, taking it over.
I just think with Bolton, she's always played like a centre-half back. She's aggressive and she's grumpy. She doesn't like the opposition possessing the footy. Plus she can run and she can mark. It's a great spot for her. She's been very serviceable in the ruck for 2 or 3 years now.
So at the throw-in, youngsters going at it. Rayson and Lakay. Lakay with a big swipe but didn't get much on it. 50 out from the goals. Swans are attacking. A free kick for a hold. The umpire spotted. Go East Fremantle's way. We'll go to Ross. Gets under her kick, but it's okay. Gomes happy to stand underneath it for a while and take a mark. They've got a minute to work this from half back to goals, and they'll get a 50. Players coming through the area there from Swan Districts, and this will really help them get closer to goal.
Brooklyn Sanders has reminded them of that rule when she just got really close just a bit earlier.
Could be right. Often happens, doesn't it? Gomes pokes one over the top. She's got Riley free, who takes the mark and then is taken to ground. The umpire with a quick whistle. And Chloe Riley is a good long kick, but this will need at least 45 metres on the fly.
She can kick 47 metres. We've actually measured it. But with the pressure of a game,
she doesn't look like she's believing she's got the journey. She's pointing to the pocket as if she's going there. Close to the player on the mark. It's a flower bag to the top of the goal square. Versace goes to ground. Crashing through Gooch. She's got 3. Well, just as this game was getting away from East Fremantle, Evie Gooch has popped up as a small forward to kick 2 goals in the last 4 minutes of the quarter. She's got 3 for the day. And at 3/4 time, East Fremantle are back in this contest. They're 4-3-27. Swans are 5-3-37. It's the Black and Whites by 10 points at 3/4 time. But the Sharks have all the momentum as we go towards the last quarter here at East Fremantle Oval. It's Swans by 10 points. Massive last quarter still to come here with front row screens.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Well, a big finish to that quarter from East Fremantle. Evie Gooch with 2 late goals has brought the Sharks right back into this one. You can see Evie just standing off to the right of the group there, the midfield group, so perhaps she'll start the final quarter on the ball. They still trail, though, East Fremantle by 10 points. They're 4-3. Swans are 5-7. There's no dancing in the huddle this time for Swan Districts like we saw just before the 3/4 time start siren. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degerbrock watching the highlights of the 3rd quarter, and the first 7 or 8 minutes was quite brilliant football from Swan District's Degs, but East Fremantle have just hung in there, and those 2 late scores from Gooch means we've got a match on.
The 50-metre penalty assisted that too, but also the fact that they were using the corridor Sharks, and Evangeline Gooch has sort of just willed herself into that game from half back and then worked through the middle of the ground and ended up in the forward line. Versace with her agreeing it's time to get a wiggle on as it started to make the game look like it was getting away, and I think Bolton had a hand in that too. Centre half back, she's been good again. Meanwhile, some wonderful work here. We get to see this goal, which just continues to spin each way. I was going to say Kim Bowie looked like she was going to try and Kim Bolton. Knee Bowie looked like she was trying to convince the umpire that one was touched, but eventually she agrees. See Heath East out there, 100 game player from Mancham up with East Perth. His daughter playing with the Swans.
Been good too, hasn't she?
She has. He backs her 100%. He's also pretty fair with that. If she doesn't play well, she knows. I had a chat to him a couple of weeks ago and said, gee, she's going well. Yeah. I think today he'd agree with me that she's going really well.
East Fremantle. I didn't see a lot of Anne McMahon, but she was involved in this setup as Gooch swooped on the loose ball. And then the next attack from the Sharks produced another goal. That was Gomes just pulling up after the 50-metre penalty. And Riley was probably caught in between whether she could make the distance or not. Kicked a bit of a floater to the top of the goal square, and Gooch in the right spot again.
She's such a good foot strike, and she kicks the ball further than most people. Michaela Morrison's the same. The pack sets at 37 and she gets it to 45. I'd love to see Riley use that leg to get it to the square. In the male game, getting it into the middle of the squares, a big no-no. In the female game, a lot of goals are generated from there, and you can see from each round, getting the ball into that square got them 2 snaggers and got them back in the game. Be interesting to see how Swans come out again. Hopefully they can relax. And the Sharks, it's working for them what they're doing, so hopefully they continue to do that too. Riggio's having a laugh in there, Anna Hong's having a laugh too, so perhaps the Sharks remain as resolute and serious as always.
Sam McQuail just checking the notepad and then referring to the board with the positions to start this quarter.
It's interesting, he opened that to 3 different pages, 3 different times. Like his little Bible, he's always got it with him.
Yep. So the Sharks still in their huddle. Swans have broken up. They're virtually in position. Now they'll get a few words from Ash Gomes, their captain. As they look to go back-to-back, they produced a big performance against Subiaco last week to win by 44 points. Subi played last night at home against Claremont, and the Tigers got the job done there as well. 20 points the win, so Subi having some struggles after winning their first game narrowly against South Fremantle. They've lost 3 in a row. Claremont have been just rolling along quite nicely after losing to Swans in round 1. They're undefeated since then.
That's the thing, is if they're in touch, they're going to get 6 AFLW players back.
Will be interesting, won't it, to see how the AFLW, well, firstly to see how many players and who gets released back to WAFLW, and then what sort of impact they can have. I imagine they'll get a few weeks off after the AFLW season finishes.
It depends on how many games they played, of course.
True. Yep.
There's a couple of players that haven't featured in the WAFLW or the AFLW for the Eagles at the moment with injury, so it'd be nice to see them rehabilitate with the West Coast club and then end up in the WAFLW for the last part of the season in preparation for their 3rd season as an AFLW club.
So the final quarter here, New Choice Homes Park, East Fremantle Oval. The famous East Fremantle Oval siren gets us started in the last quarter. Rayson jumps early. Lakay gets over the top. Cox swooping on the footy. Uses the outside of the boot well. Morrison floating in. Can't take the mark, but the recovery is brilliant. 50 out. Pops it to Anderson. Anderson closes just outside her range. Kicks to full forward. Wilstra gave a little push, and she didn't need to because her teammate had it covered. And it's Hope Ugle-Hayward, top of the goal square.
She just read that. She was just standing in the space the ball was going to drop.
Wilstra went left and right and got rid of her opponent. Meanwhile, Ugle just stood there and had her name written all over it. Shouldn't miss from here. It's not a good kick, but it floats just over. I reckon that would have been 7 foot high, that kick, and it's good enough for a goal. So Swans get the perfect start.
The way to talk about that kick is it was worth 6 points. It wasn't because it spun
Let's have a look at
backwards.
this one. She's got that right off the toe and a nervous little smile as she goes and gives the high 10
and in the
to
Native
Naira.
game, it's fantastic work from the Calabaran product in Jess Cox to get that out towards Michaela Morrison, who controlled it beautifully to Anderson, and Hope Ugle just stand and deliver with the catch and then stand and nearly not deliver with a kick, but it's worth 6 points. And we just talked a bit of cricket in the break. Off air, and you're out, you're out. And if you kicked a goal, doesn't matter what the kick looked like at all. Lakay got the best of race in the last tap too. 2 youngsters going at it. Lakay follow-up's okay. Versace off the ground. Bianca Webb reads it best. One-handed pick-up's good. Little throws the handball out towards Cox, but Cox provides the block, gives Bianca Webb some time. Her Fremantle teammate Anne McMahon gets a hand on her hip and is able to affect the kick. Plushke doesn't finish the mark, and she's shoved off the ball by Morrison. Wong comes in, takes Morrison out. Lakay smothers the Plushke handball in the hands of East. Inside out off the right foot, Hope Ugle, the goal kicker. Did a little jump, little frog hop over that one in the hands of Gomes, who's wrapped up and robbed by East. She goes with the opposite foot. It falls for Edwards. Can she do something with it? She's looking for a laneway runner. She's got one in Hope Ugle. Good pressure from O'Donnell. Long ball in, chance of the catch. No whistle on play. It's Anderson now paddling the ball to a line. She's wrapped up by Williams. Ball squirts out towards Morrison now, and it looks like it's going to degenerate and be required to be restarted. It does. Fierce and scrambling defence from the Sharks and relentless pressure forward from the Swans. Welstra, who's rucked all season. Alston gets it down. Does Welstra, can't get the kick away. Anderson, the relieving kick, at least for now, goes towards Wong.
Wong good enough to stand up under pressure. Hand passes away to Versace. This kick will come straight back. Rennie pokes it into a dangerous position. Just had too much on it for Wong, who'd set herself up well. O'Donnell, who's disposed of after kicking there by Morrison. Umpire said it was okay. Rennie gets it once more for Swans. Kicks to a 2-on-1. Edwards couldn't take it in the air. Recovery's okay. Hacks a kick towards full forward. Morrison turns, picks it up, hands it away to Webb. Open goal. She misses to the right. That might have just about put East Fremantle away if she had have finished that one off, but didn't. The Sharks are still in it. Still go back to Dana East. Steele just ripped the ball out of the hands of her opponent. Dropped it on the non-preferred left.
It's like when you start just peeling hankies out of your sleeve, the magician's work. She's very ball-focused, East. Good defence again by the Sharks. Probably had a handball over to the open side of the ground then too, but took the shot Webb. She had every right to, of course, as Williams brings the ball back into play through Ravel Torrens' hands and over the line in front of the East Fremantle skipper. And Gomesy looks exactly the same as she did 8 years ago. Hasn't aged. She's played 100 games of footy in between. Looks exactly like she did as an 18-year-old. Smart footballer, developing her craft on a wing here as she leads his team. Lacaille gets the ball down towards Rennie. McMahon reads it well. Wrapped up Versace. Wright tries to break away. Gomes has her into the hands of Ravel Torrens again, and Gomes will roll this over the line again. She knows how to get a team a little break.
Yeah, they can't afford to waste too much time here, East Fremantle, though. Need at least 3 goals from this position. Probably could do with a 4th, the way the Swans are going as well. Find it hard to believe they won't score again before this final quarter runs out. Good deep throw in from the boundary umpire. Lacaille with a touch. East reels it in nicely. Dragged off her kick. Coming across Versace. Little stab pass to Sprillian. Wants to take them on up the middle. Off to Gooch and back again. She can pop it over the top here. Instead she goes long. Not a well-directed kick, although Ralph loses a footing. Out the back it goes to McClellan. She kicks cleverly into space. Riley and Osborne, a foot race. Riley reels the football in. It's an open goal and the Sharks have gone the length of the field. Just again, probably the second time today, we've been just about ready to write the Sharks off and they've responded again. And the hard work of Riley pays off with a goal. And nicely done by McClellan.
Yeah, it was very good.
Just needed some sort of a kick. Knew that Riley probably had Osborne covered for speed. And Riley, you can see there the arms out. It's her first goal of the season, having started as a defender this year, and she's missed a couple, but she's pretty happy to get a name on the scoreboard.
Got so many favourite players in this competition, but Riley's one of them. I like the way she thinks. I like the way she stops time when she approaches the football. Not the fastest player. She stops the clock when she has the football because she sees the game so clearly, much like Emma Maguire. So connected to the game, understands what's required and when. Okay, again, this time Rayson's able to halt her influence and McMahon traps. Is that Edwards gone onto the ball? It's been a live wire today. No, it's Shannon Rennie. She's been good too in what I think is their return game. Rayson this time. Umpire throws it on her head and brings Lacaille to her. I don't think that's what she's after. As East gathers this on the run too, she twists and turns. Just gets a little right footer out to Webb, who's run on very well again from forward. She's tracked nicely by Sanders. Sanders has been good across the ground today. Messy kick forward, pressure on the Sharks. Right, clever handball to East. East, can she finish and almost finish the Sharkies or bring this last quarter to a shootout? And she has. She's involved a couple of times again, East. She's an energiser bunny, that's for sure. Her batteries are fully charged at all times, and she's able to gather that ball in at half forward, follow up with the defensive work, end up finishing the kick in front of Kimberly Bowie. Don't know if I can say enough about the way East is playing today.
She's been a star. She's so clean with her hands today. The ball's just sticking every time she pops the hand out. There's been some ground balls coming towards her that have been very difficult to collect, and she's made it look very easy. She obviously didn't miss the trainer with the grippo as they went out on the field today.
She might be using what you used to use in the old days, clean hands. Now, Eastie started her work in October in preparation for this and found it very hard for both the Swans and the State Academy program to actually slow her down. And I'm glad no one was able to. We're a bit worried about her running out of puff as Lacaille's tackled, gets his ball forward. Wong's first on the scene in front of Cox. Wong gets the ball towards and over Maddie Ross's head. Ross runs on very well. She's got a very fleet-of-foot young player, Ross, and that overhead catch is taken very well from a very young player in Jamie Henry. Gets this ball to Bias Ralph. Brings Stribley into the game. She tries a little basketball trick, 1 or 2. Sprillian then gets involved. She's got a little shove in the back. Sprillian from Stribley. Sorry, it's not Sprillian at all. Stoma Fidel. So now Fidel gets to build for the Sharks. A nice ball in, running at it's Radokovic. She can't quite stand her ground. Henry gets her under the footy. Little hands from Maguire to Osborne, put under a fierce pressure from Gooch. The umpire should call this for a baller. No prior, and there was no chance of getting out of that tackle either.
So the margin 17 points again, midway through this last quarter. Sharks again need 3 more goals. Fideli just missing that one. Maguire going one-handed. Wong, it doesn't matter what sized opponent she goes up against, she's always a chance. Stribley wants to use her pace, gives it off to Osborne. Osborne was pretty keen to give it back to her, but Stribley was knocked over. Rayson getting involved as well. It's a real scrap for the football down that forward pocket. And eventually the boundary umpire will be called upon to toss it back in. Here, Adam Dancy just near our effects mic. It's an interesting position for the effects mic, isn't it?
He actually walks towards it when he gives his instruction. I don't think he's doing that on purpose.
He covers his own little microphone that goes up to the coach's box, but we can hear pretty much everything he says when he goes towards the big effects mic with the sock on it.
It's a fair effects mic.
It's good. It'll pick up most things. We've had Brianna Hyde barking her instructions down there as the runner as well. East Fremantle go forward, but reading it again, just sneaking in to take the mark is Mel Hardy. Had a fair impact on the game in the first half. Didn't see so much of her in the third quarter. Called to play on here. Kicks in the Anderson direction. She's outsized, but her judgment was good. Getting it over the back. Now forced to go to ground, wrestling against Torrens Ravel. Now over the top, Fidel makes it pretty tough for Anderson to get that one out. And they're happy to fight a draw. With 8 minutes on the clock, East Fremantle need 3 goals to steal this one.
Just got to hope the two teams keep attacking each other. It's been a very entertaining contest. No need to go into any slow or stop play at the moment. Roll the dice, Sharkies. Have a crack at stealing this victory. Got the team for it. Got some power up forward. Gooch is advertising her prowess in the front end. Long ball in. It's been a mixed bag for the throw-ins. That's a beautiful one. Just going over the ruck's head. Jessica Cox rides the bump. Looks very much like a rugby union move. She's brought to ground and we'll get a restart. She's going to need some ice on that thigh after that one, you think. Picked up a nice little corky. LeKay and Rayson choosing to continue to run at each other despite it not being a centre bounce. Most rucks turn side on and the ball ups. McMahon looking for a laneway runner. Finds one in Williams. Tries to distribute this towards Ross. Does enough work there, Hardy, but Ross was too good. Ross turns inside, goes long. Jamie Henry's got a great reader, but it slips through her hands. Her handball is very clever to Osborne, and Osborne's going to turn this ball around the corner. Gomes has played that wing pretty well. She doesn't take this one. Denny Wright picks her pocket, runs away. The kick's okay. Rennie asked to do some fierce work against Alston, does so. Alston recovers first in front of Edgley. Gomes again off the ground. Osborne first to react. Velkovic has got some pace, but Osborne had a bit of a head start. Good pressure from her. Edgley's up from half forward. Tracked her player down, then she's able to get the clearance. Waiting back is her opponent in Williams. Williams going inside 50 through LeKay's hands. It's in the hands now of the Sharkies. The ball around the corner. We'll have too much on it. And it's through for a point. Did you see who kicked that one in? It was Rayson. She's been busy again today.
Probably need to hit every opportunity here, East Fremantle. So just the 6 minutes to go in the game. Rayson's going to run all the way to the bench.
The toast is her father, we're told.
Yes.
Does it make her the crust?
Could be.
She looks like she's absolutely gassed.
Once again, we've got a player who's had to jump the fence to go and fetch the footy, and Skinny Osborne won't mind that because the clock continues to run. So they've just burnt 40 seconds off the clock as a result of that missed goal, which is a shame for the contest. Osborne kicks in short to Ralph, who takes the mark and a bit of contact, and the umpire says the contact was what needs to be penalised rather than the mark be rewarded, and Ralph might have a stinger on the left elbow there, right on the funny bone. Her opponent's down and hurt as well.
Might have been face on elbow.
The umpire's pretty happy to hold this game up right now.
Hasn't called time on either, so the clock's still running. So we've lost 40 seconds to the ball over the boundary line.
It's Maddie Ross again, who
no time on call
has
here.
No fear in any contest.
Geez, if I was in the East Fremantle coach's box, hoping this game to restart. Did that clip her?
I think Maddie Ross just ran
stomach.
into the elbow and might have just stunned herself a little bit and also knocked the wind out of herself in the process. So we're back underway again as Ralph's kick goes wide. Was anyone able to touch that? It doesn't matter. It stays in the end anyway. We might have a ball up right beneath the scoreboard. Inside the last 5 minutes now, 16 points the margin.
It's tough, isn't it, with the no time on? In a contest where you need a couple of minutes to be able to catch up, but you lose a little bit of time to fetching the footy. Hopefully a bit of injury time. Usually Ump's very good at the injury time. We're back on the wing. Umps call it, but the timekeepers actually stop the clock.
The one next to us would be on it.
I think so, Joe Taylor. President.
Didn't know which box to go in
Coach.
today. Wanted to put the headset on and do the timing and be manager.
She would definitely be able to do so. Okay, McLennan. Contest on the far side. Webb. Pressured by Wong. Cox straight into the hands of Gomes. Wong joins in on the gang tackle. We'll do it again.
One of the best things Joe did today was hand us the team sheet, which gave us the new numbers for the Swans players, because the usual jumper sizes for the numbers didn't match up once the Indigenous strips came out. So not all clubs are that friendly to us to give us the official team list, but Swannies are. It's good.
They'll look after us. Do a lot of guesswork. Some wonderful work there from both sides, but the ball ends up in exactly the same spot where it was balled up. 30 seconds later, it's Gooch, tucks it under one wing, takes off. Pressure came from behind. She was good enough to get that ball away. The path of Mel Hardy. Maguire steps in through the middle, that she does so well, and weights this ball beautifully to Edwards. Edwards again, playing her best game, I'd say. She's got a runner out wide in Naomi Baker, looking to cut inside now, Baker. Gooch takes it easy on her. Well, Gooch is starting to tie, you'd think. This is Webb. Webb gets the ball inside forward 50. It's going to fall for Morrison, and Plaschke didn't do enough early enough to try and cover that one off, and it was always Michaela Morrison's. I think Plaschke was trying to get a read of the footy. A little nudge there. She could have taken the catch herself.
It's a good deep kick from Webb, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it? We talk about, we know everyone talks about this. We're not telling anyone they don't know, but the inside 30 so vital in WAFLW. And that's a beautiful inside 30 as we ride this kick with Morrison. Seeing her reaction, whether she's got that or not. Looks like we lost a flash of post, so that's all clear. And Michaela Morrison joins Evie Gooch in the 3-goal club. And a wonderful little work from the front end, and perhaps the sting out of this game now. Very hot again today to play. Beautiful day to sit under a tree and read a book. To be out there at 2:10 in the afternoon, it's going to definitely have to spend some petrol tickets to keep alive in this game. Maybe that's enough now for the Swan Districts Football Club to go 4-4.
What a start to the year it's been from Swans. I think they're always there or thereabouts, the Black and Whites.
And talk about the Sharks too, though. This has been very good from them.
Yeah,
and a marked difference from their first outing.
So we've broadcast 3 of the 4 games now on our live stream, and this is clearly their best performance, even though the margin in the end is going to be a little bit worse than when they lost to Claremont by 8 points. Swans to go forward again. Dana East has had a big day. She gets them inside 50 again. Anderson couldn't take it. Hugo Haywood had a crack as well, and then at ground level wins it off towards Edgeley. Wants Anderson to do some work now as well. East Fremantle with plenty of support around. Alston farms the ball back, but Cox is there. Gives it off to LeKay. She normally gets a good piece of it off her right boot as well. Gets a little bit under this one. Wheelstra's leap was also a little bit early and a bit under. Anderson roving at the front. Hands it away. Morrison or Hugo Haywood now. Morrison over the top. Wheelstra's got out the back door, and she can finish off with her second goal. Goals late in the quarter for Swan Districts to finish this one off in some style. And they're out to a 28-point lead. And the margin probably doesn't do East Fremantle's efforts justice for today. But I tell you what, Swans, they're a 4-quarter team. And they've been impressive. And the Wheelstra-LeKay double in the ruck and up forward is going to threaten a lot of teams this year, Dex.
I'm a little relieved to see LeKay in the ruck. She's getting a good chance before she heads to Adelaide in a couple of weeks' time, or 2 weeks' time now, isn't it? So one more league game before she flies to Adelaide to make her state debut, all being well with her in the next 2 weeks of preparations. It's nice to see her. She'll lead the ruck for Western Australia in a fortnight, and she'll lead the ruck campaign across both rounds of the 19s championships this year. She's in the ruck here again against McLennan, who wins this one clearly. She's also first to recover and feeds off a handball to a runner. It's a fair bit to like about McLennan too. I think East Fremantle have unearthed the ruck one. I'd love to see her and Walsh in a similar role to McLennan. Sorry, similar role to the Swans rucks. As this ball forward 50 entry, he's going to be rebounded again. Nice hands from Jamie Henry, mopped up very well by Maguire. Too much on it to connect with Baker. It brings in Torrens Ravel. Little tug on the jumper from Evie Gooch, who's just about disrobed Hope Ugle. And there's the siren to end the game. A wonderful little spectacle. Probably a little unfair on East Fremantle for those last couple, but it probably represents how hard Swan Districts have worked throughout 4 quarters. As you call, resounding winners in the end, 62 points to 34, and the shot clock was around sort of 17 shots to 9. That scoreboard has already been packed away.
We've had a big Sunday afternoon over there and ready to head to the pub. But
I was pulling them down as I was trying to read them off the screen.
4 out of 4 for Swan Districts to start the year. East Fremantle 1 win and 3 losses from their first 4. They get to take on South Fremantle in a derby next week, while Swans will play Subiaco, who have had their battles in the first month of the season. But it's a very happy Swans team. 3 goals to Morrison, 2 to Wilstra. East, Edwards, Edgley and Ugle Haywood also kicked the goal, while Evie Gooch did most of the damage on the scoreboard for East Fremantle today with 3 goals. Radokovic and Riley kicked a goal each as well. But Em Maguire, the skipper, just going and shaking hands with Sarah Lewis, who's doing the running for East Fremantle at the moment with that hand injury that she suffered recently.
After struggling with a couple of corks. You see how much it means to our Aboriginal players too. A little bit of extra smile on their face.
And a nice hug there from Maddie Ross coming across to the returning player today after nearly 2 years out in Naomi Baker. You mentioned the work that Maddie would have done with Naomi as part of the rehab. I think it was a nice little touch there that they sought each other out.
Yeah, she's a wonderful, wonderful young lady, and from a very, very kind and supporting family. And it's great to see her back. You can think about her journey to here and how much she suffered. There's been some tears and frustration. There's been a little setback with a little meniscus tear as she was returning to contact, and it prolonged her return. And can say that there's about probably 150 of the female footy community, State Academy, that are very happy to see her back out there. And I think Mum and Dad will be breathing a sigh of relief as they drive back to home tonight, which is a long way from here, I can tell you. It's right out the back of Mahogany Creek way. And then you have to come down the hill from there. You get towards a chicken farm, and then you turn left. And they've got a wonderful property out there. I was able to go out there and visit them during the lockdown last year, and they were living the lockdown in luxury.
Well, the huddle's complete, and the girls will head towards their respective change rooms. Swans will get their song in just a moment as well.
Hopefully they come and form around this.
Well, the microphone's right there, isn't it? So we'll get it nice and loud from the black and whites in their very impressive Indigenous jumpers. We like the artwork that's been done there. Both clubs today.
Cheered off the ground on the far side there is Alex Williams. So
I think it was her 100th or 150th today.
100th
Might be 150th actually.
Been around a long time. She's still young enough to have a couple of years left. She's climbed the mountain though in terms of footy. I wonder how much footy she's got left after she finished with the Dockers, and I'm almost positive she won't be finishing this year with the Fremantle club.
And we saw a bit of dancing and a bit of carry on at the start of the 3rd quarter from Swans. And they've pushed the debutante into the middle, Chloe Taylor, and Naomi Baker's been told to go in there to celebrate as well.
Danny Wright's managed not to get in there, so maybe it's not her debut. I'm almost positive it is. That sounded like one word.
They're pretty happy in there, the Swannies, and so they should be. Naomi Baker there.
First game, league game.
Dex just checking with Jo Taylor, who's finished her manager's role.
Second league game. That's why she avoided the shower.
There you go. Must have had it last week. But they're a happy bunch there. Swan Districts, they are all right. They're top of the ladder, 4 and zip. Claremont are 3 and 1.
This is a very strong challenge.
Swans beat. Claremont lost to, I should say. Some of the highlights as we have a look at these. We'll check the score as well from the other game this afternoon.
That looked like
Peel Thunder were hosting South Fremantle in round 4 down in Mandurah. We see some of the highlights from this one where Swans were just too strong. They continued to answer all the challenges that East Fremantle threw at them. They wouldn't go away, East Fremantle, but Swans just kept on responding.
Seemed to Swannies initially built their thrust from half back through their strong and smart players like Maguire Ralph, and particularly Skinny Osborne with his distribution skills. Jamie Henry contributed down there as well as all the people that went through the back five for the Ducks. But I think in the end it was the presence of numbers at half forward that overwhelmed the Sharks as they tried to repel at the top of 50. They were faced with East, Morrison, Hope Ugle sprinting through the lines. Bianca Webb and Naomi Baker were able to have a real influence at half forward, and I think in the end they forced a lot of 9-on-5s in the front end, and it resulted in a lot of goals from deep for the Ducks. Be immensely satisfied with the way they constructed the ball and controlled the middle of the ground, and I think their forward 50 entries they'd be quite proud of too, long and deep, and put some good defenders from the Sharks under a lot of pressure.
This was the highlight of the day, a goal from Morrison combining with Naira Anderson, and they really enjoyed that little 1-2 combination between the pair of them, both of them contributing well today as Swans took their 4th win of the season. Jess Cox did some nice things. Her ball use was pretty good. That kick not the best, but apart from that, generally today hitting the targets. And one of East Fremantle's better players today, Elle Sanders, who probably faded a little bit, Dex, but her first half in particular certainly caught the eye.
She had a lot of work to do. I think in the end she was run off her feet by trying to just the way the Swans controlled the midfield in the back of the box, and then they controlled the front of the box. She was in the end chasing around a couple too many players. I think just the run of the Swans overwhelming the Sharks in the end.
Well, we'll head out to Swan Districts next week to get another look at the Black and Whites. They take on Subiaco out there at Steel Blue Oval, so more to look forward to if you're a Swans fan here on the live stream. Thanks to Front Row Screens. Great work from Matt and the team down in the trailer out the back today.
There's a trailer today.
There's a trailer, not a tractor or a truck.
Tractor?
No tractors.
I don't think they've got a tractor.
No tractor.
They probably cover tractor pull.
There's boats and there's a few drag cars and that sort of thing. But
one of my favourite parts of the call is getting to see those boats go real fast in 30 centimetres of water.
So we'll be back again next Sunday for Swans and Subi. Today, the Black and Whites, the winners by 28 points over East Fremantle.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud partner of the WAFL and WAFLW. The West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams. Kia, proud partner of the WAFLW. This is Kia. Simply Energy, supporting WA Footy's talent pathway.